Good afternoon, and welcome to Inspired to Change radio and talk show with your host, Shirley Walthour, and our beloved co host is.
Aloma Ingram. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. The purpose of our show is to inspire and motivate and encourage and promote excellence for change in our friends, family, community, and our children. Today's show is today's topic of discussion is the power of your words.
Yes.
We're going to talk, a subtitle might be the value of a seed. And I thought of that subtitle because back in the day, our parents, they lived. Many of us lived off of agriculture.
Yes.
Even if you were city born, our parents still had gardens. Yeah, they had little gardens, and so they planted their gardens. And many of us, that's why we look so healthy, by the way. It's those okra and and tomatoes and sweet potatoes and
Jamaican
things.
callaloo.
Oh, okay. See, okay, all of that stuff. So that's why we look so healthy, gang. Audience. So anyway, back to the story. The story is about the value of your seed. So what we want to do is talk about the impeccability of your word, first of all. And to be impeccable means to be faultless, free from fault, or to be free from blame. So in order, though, to be impeccable with your speech, we have to, in essence, strive to say what we mean, and
mean what we say.
And mean what we say. And that means that we have to be very thoughtful about what we're getting ready to say, and that we're not allowing our emotions to drive the conversation. Okay. And so we want you to stop and think carefully about what you really want to say. Very few people do that. Do you think?
No, most people move off emotions.
Yeah.
When they're emotional, they blow some things out that's not sounding too pleasant.
Right.
And the apologies really don't work because the words have an effect.
Right. Once they're out there.
Yes.
And so, and then the other point is, I know I've told my children as long as I can remember, or I heard a long time ago, a man is only as good as
his word. Yeah.
If your word is no good, then hey, you can expect not so good things to happen after
people
they
not
do.
even trust you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not going to be very. So, and then on that same line, I always say that jokingly most of the time, but it's the truth. My reputation precedes me.
Yeah.
But the truth is, everyone's reputation precedes you. Whatever you have laid, what foundation you have laid, especially with your words, people can forget the things that you've done. We all do some stupid things along the way. Things we wish that we had not done. But your words, people remember those words.
Like the politicians, as I said, they make promises. And you got 4 years to make those promises come to light. And if someone doesn't see it coming to light, well, you know, when you were campaigning, you said, I will build a school, I'm going to put a dam here, I'm going to do a well here, I'm going to put electricity here, and so forth. And then while you're in office, nothing happens. And then 4 years later, you're campaigning to win that seat again. People will not trust you.
Right.
Because you have given words of expectation. And when those expectations are not being manifested, then people are not going to trust.
Right.
And so if you promise something, then you have to make sure that you deliver.
Right.
If you want people to continue to trust you.
So that's just how important your word is.
Yes.
That if you want trust to follow and people to believe in you, then your word has to count for something.
Definitely.
And in order to have words that mean something, or be able to say words that mean something, it usually means that you have to be to some degree ethical or moral. You have to be governed by some type of principles.
Within your own self, you have to discipline yourself and put guidelines that you will follow to keep you principled.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that will guide your behavior and how you conduct yourself in your speech or even in an activity. Yes. Now, so I wanted to make the point, though, to be ethical or moral doesn't mean that you have to be religious either. It doesn't mean that at all. In fact, but since I brought up the Bible,
I'm
brought up
listening.
religion.
Yes, bring it up.
Okay,
Bring it.
I bring it up. The Bible does say, let your
Your
yes be yes, and your no be no. For whatever is more than these is just evil communication. And so the only way that you can do that is to be thoughtful about what you say. Take time to think about that. The impeccable, one writer is coined it like this. That means to refrain from expressing criticisms, judgments, and finding fault with yourself or someone else. That's something. We'll stop right there and think about that, right?
Yes.
Even against yourself, criticisms against yourself or judgments against yourself or someone else. Being without criticism in your expression doesn't just mean with the words you speak, but the thoughts that you think as well.
You know, Shirley, I'm going to say something right now.
Why don't you say something, Roma?
You know, people can really rub you.
No doubt.
Yeah, they can. And you fight back because you believe that I'm not going to let this person get away with hurting me this way. But my experience have taught me something. When you fight back, you don't necessarily have to fight back at the same angle that a person is coming in at you with. Yeah?
What would you suggest then?
For me, I think that the best way in fighting back is to continue to be you, not to let someone pull you out of character.
I love that word.
Yeah. You know who you are. I know who I am, but I have allowed some people sometimes because of their wickedness to pull me to a place where I think I need to stand up and let you know that, you know what, I'm not afraid of you and I'm not going to put up with this. But you can still get it done staying within yourself.
Right.
Because when you get out of character, you know it, you feel it.
Yes.
And it bothers you. So don't allow anyone to pull you in their level.
But the only way you can do that is to know who you really are. Yes, to know who you really are. Yes.
Don't get there. Like I was in Walmart the other day. I was in Walmart, and what this guy did to this other person was wrong. But I did you something, I was wrong. But the way in which you retaliated, the way in which you behaved, started making me look right. Because you start looking negative because of your behavior.
Right.
And I had to pull that person aside because I knew the person, and I said, right now, this is not the way to behave. Right now, I understand you're emotional. People are not understanding your emotion because only you feel that.
Right.
And you are expressing yourself based on the emotions you're feeling, which right now, all of us are looking at you, and you're not looking too pretty.
Not looking pretty.
So you know what? I'm ordering you to behave. I'm ordering you to stop.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And when I use that word, I'm ordering you, he heard it. And he started calming down. And I said to him, this is your workplace. This is your place that gives you your earning. There has to be a method in which, or some kind of a plan that you guys have to follow. If I did Shirley something, she had no right to express or expel that kind of behavior.
Yes.
She need to go to a supervisor and say, this is what just happened.
Right.
And have it, squished.
Right.
In
So
a
there's
more
order and there's
order.
Appropriate
Behavior.
appropriateness that
Appropriate
goes
language.
Yes,
There you
that goes along with
Yes.
whatever the situation is.
Because when you allow the emotion to let you get out of control or out of character, then it's considered inappropriate.
Right.
Especially in a setting like Walmart.
Right. So
it happened there.
I say it this way, Aloma, that the 11th commandment, I mean no disrespect to the Bible, is to know thyself. The 11th commandment is really know yourself, know who you are, and make sure that you are always functioning in the character in which you would like to be represented. And no matter what the situation is, you do not allow that to pull you out of that, who you know you are. Okay, so the next part of our program, we want to quickly talk about the value of your words. First of all, we have to consider our words to be much more than the construct of words and phrases that come out of our mouths. our words are actually a force that we create with and includes everything that we express. And you had an idea about that, how words have some. We've talked about words having some solidness to them or
Yes.
some concreteness to them. I think you mentioned an idea to me the other day about you thought about words and the sound of words.
Sound.
What did you express
There's
to me?
sound. It's a sound. I open my mouth and this sound comes out.
Mhm.
My brain goes into motion. I know what I want to say. And from being taught and education wise, the language that your parents teach you, it comes out with sound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? The sound that comes out of your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You hear it, you respond to it. Like I was telling you just now, if I say, Shirley, stand up, and you respond to that and you stand up. What happens after that?
Yes.
It becomes silent, but it has to have gone somewhere.
Yeah, those vibrations.
The vibrations of
Yes.
the sound has
Yes,
gone
they've
somewhere.
gone somewhere.
Where has it filtered to?
Yeah.
You see, and the Lord laid that in my spirit.
Mm-hmm.
That Aloma, you might be emotional and say some things, but those words filter out into the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
It goes somewhere beyond just the person's ears who's hearing it,
Right.
but it goes up into another spiritual realm here,
Exactly.
into the heavens. So be careful. And I have said things that I have regretted, and I have said, Lord, forgive me.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me. Take
Mhm.
those words, take those sounds, and just get rid of them for me, and I will not say it again.
Right. So your words are.
Manifestation. The manifestation.
There's a manifestation
Yes.
after. She's saying that there's
Yes.
a manifestation
Yes.
after the words are said,
Yes.
that they manifest in the universe some
Yes.
type of way. So your words are actually raw materials that can form the life that you mean to live.
Yes.
So words carry great power. This is according to Cindy Trim. That was a quote that I just gave from her.
Mm-hmm.
And she also said, words released into the atmosphere do not disappear and dissipate.
So she's saying the same thing I
Yes,
said.
I'm backing you up.
Ah.
And they have geographical limitations and locations.
Yeah. Yes.
See? So it's not just us thinking this,
Yes.
ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen. This is something that experts have verified. And one example that I thought about is years ago there was a show that was called Sanford and Son, and some of you may remember that show.
Oh, Lord.
And it was Red Fox on that
Red
show,
Fox.
and his wife had gone to heaven before him. And you heard him. How many times would he say what? You know, Elizabeth, that was her name. Elizabeth, I'm
I
coming.
won't say the words now. but
Yeah,
you-
yeah, that Elizabeth. He said that was what he
I'm
said.
coming home.
He said, "I'm coming home, Elizabeth. I'm coming home." He put his hand on
With
his
his
heart. And years later, I'm
Oh,
told
my God,
that
he died of a heart attack.
yeah, Red Fox actually died of a
He
heart
was
attack as
acting,
well.
but those words were making a
Making-
manifestation somewhere.
Yeah, the
eventually.
universe was hearing it, and they
Heard it
came back
one
to
too many times.
Yeah, they came back to settle. So we had mentioned the idea of I mentioned the idea of the cartoons with the newspaper and the bubble above
Yes.
you, and how words actually are visual. Words are really manifestation in some form of reality.
Yes.
Of your reality. So what we're saying is words have power. They have presence, and they are prophetical can be prophetical. They have implications. They create a magnetic force that pulls
And it
the
must be a
manifestation
Yes.
of what you speak,
Yes.
good or bad, blessing or cursing,
Yes.
from other realms and regions and dimensions.
Amen.
They are suspended and incubated in the realm or the spirit. They're just waiting the
To
correct
manifest.
time. Yes, the correct time and optimal condition for the manifestation.
Yes.
That's Dr. Cindy Trim saying
Yes.
that.
So you say they're incubated. That means it's developing.
Yes, they're
Yes,
developing.
they're developing. It's
Right.
developing for.
A later day. And then they're going to be birthed.
Yes.
You're going to see the manifestation of those later. Another point we would like to make is the impact of your words. So words have power to the extent that they can actually give life or death to the hearer. Of course, the words of God says, life and death is in the power of the tongue. So when we say something to each other, Loma, or you say something to someone else, these are some questions we'd like for you to ask yourself before you speak. Will this build up the esteem of the person that is going to hear what I say? Will humanity be uplifted by the words that I say? Will or does the words that I'm about to say accurately represent my character?
Right.
And who I really am? These are the questions that you should ask yourself before you say some things, so you can think about how these words are actually getting ready to impact someone else. And then our last point is the effectiveness of our word. An effective word is a word said that will or can be beneficial for all those involved. So when we say something, we have to think about how is this going to benefit all the people that's involved, as you were saying about the situation at Walmart. How is what's being said going to benefit the person that's waiting at the cash register,
Right.
the one that's working on the cat, the one that's waiting in line that's hearing it? How is this affecting all those people that are involved in you that you had nothing to even do with? How is this thing that are being said is
Well,
going to
for a
affect
moment,
everybody?
I can tell you that business in that area slowed down for quite some time.
Yes.
It affected the function of Walmart's automobile area.
Yeah.
For that to pass over. Everybody blowing up and before it calmed down.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. So we have to think about if are the words that I'm about to say, is this going to be beneficial to other people, all the persons that are involved? In other words, is it going to be a word in due season? That's what I call it. Is it timely? Is it thoughtful? And if so, then it will successfully produce a desired intent or result. If it's an on-time word, that's what I'm talking about. A word in due season. We're talking about an on-time word. And so we want to have you think about the timeliness of your words. And there's an acronym that I've heard. It's called THINK, THINK. And so you need to ask yourself before you speak, is what I'm about to say true? T is for true. Is what I'm about to say, is that the truth? Is that true? H, is it helpful? The beneficial thing?
Right.
Is it going to be beneficial to all those around? So if is it going to be helpful? I is inspiring. Is what I'm about to say going to inspire anybody in this conversation?
You want to inspire me right now, Shirley?
That's what we're talking about right now. That's why we're here
Yes.
on this show right now, to hopefully inspire some of you all to work a little harder on
Your
concentrating
words.
on your words.
Right.
Then N is it necessary? Did you really, Miss Aloma, have to say that at that time?
Do you know that I have practiced the N? Practicing N is not nice now.
Yeah.
It's hard. Because I really want to say it, but you know what? It ain't even worth saying no.
Not now.
It's not. This is not the time, place.
Right.
Let it go.
Yeah.
To hold back what you want to say is not easy, but it's sometimes the best thing to
It's
do.
the best thing to do. It's not
Yes.
necessary. It's just, do you know, some people like, I just had to say it.
Yeah.
I just got to get this out.
You
Why?
get it out and you feel good, but you're being selfish because only you're feeling good.
Right. You're feeling good now.
Yes.
Everybody around you is
Right.
feeling horrible.
Right.
So is it necessary? And then lastly, is it kind? Is it a kind word? Are you being courteous? Are you being pleasant? There's a saying that there's a time, well, really that's biblical. There's a time and place for everything under the sun. So we want you to practice being impeccable with your words. We want you to consider what the value of your words are. We want you to consider the effectiveness of your words and the timeliness of your words. So we want you to consciously choose your words. It's like putting together the right combination of brick and mortar. That's Dr. Cindy Trim again. You know, choosing the right words. You're building something, and you're putting those things together at the right time. Okay.
I agree.
So that's our show today for the power of your words. Our show again was sponsored by FloridaEducatorsResource.com, your premier source for character education curriculums and books for elementary school children. We want you to remember to like and share, okay, if this program has been beneficial to you in any way. So we want you to join us in our next conversation as we continue to advocate for excellence.
Bye.